Hello, everyone. Scotty White of World Combat Sports. I know it's a late one. I wanted to jump on here a little bit earlier. I put the reminder at 10:50. I've been 9:50. I thought it was much later. But yeah, I want to come on here and talk about the big news, man. Franchise Crews-Dezurn receives her WBO title back. That reinstates her as the champion. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. Yeah. We've been waiting on this for her to get her belts back. They changed. I'm going to read the article. You know what I'm saying? They basically changed the fight to a no decision. And that keeps Franchise Crews-Dezurn record at 6-1 with 2 knockouts. If you remember, she fought Alejandra Jimenez back in January of 2020. Now, the controversy of the fight was just that. It was more so a visual perspective on how Jimenez was able to combat or basically walk through the punches of Dezurn. It was a good fight. It was a competitive fight. But, you know, for the boxing fans in the women's division, you're like, damn, she looks a little strong. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Franchon is not a punk when it comes to boxing. And she just looked a little bit overpowering. So therefore, after the fight happened and, you know, she got on the mic, her voice seemed just a tad bit deeper than the gender of that of a woman or female or any type of characterization, you know, to that comparison. And we was like saying to ourselves, like, dang, it must be something like so many people would just jump into conclusions, right? So common sense tells us that something was going on. And sure enough, the A and B sample came back dirty. And like I said, they fought back in February 2020. And we like, okay, the test came back already. They're dirty. Why haven't Franchon received her belts back? What is going on here? And we're like very anxious to know, damn, you know, when she lose her belts, let her lose them fairly. Let her actually compete with somebody that is clean and not cheating and doping at the same time, right? So when you know, the WBO was the first to come back. And I'm saying to myself, I was like, I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little disappointed that the highest ranking sanctioned body haven't returned the belt yet. And that's the WBC. Because the fight was for the WBC and WBO, right? So the WBO takes a step. And if you look on BoxRec already, it's already an ND, no decision. And, you know, in my perspective, I just think that the opponent, Alejandra Jimenez, should be marked with a loss. I know it doesn't happen since it's a no decision, but she's the one that was cheated. So it should be a loss on her record. Real talk. But anyway, you know, I'm just glad to see that the sanctioned bodies stepped up and held her accountable and returned the belts back. My disappointment is the WBC haven't really been first. They're the highest ranking. You have the WBC, the WBA, IBF, and WBO. Why isn't the WBC returned that belt yet? Alex Ayala, salute to you, man. What's good? Thanks for tuning in, my brother. Michael Stafford, salute, man. Shout out to Michael Stafford, man. One of the legends in the game. Thanks for dropping in, my brother. And, you know, keep on doing what you're doing, man. Handling business out there in Cincinnati, man. Real talk. Alex Ayala say, brother, I have been slacking on women's boxing. I guess since I don't train women, I don't follow them like I should. Yeah, man, this was a big fight. You know, the only loss on Franchon's record is Carissa Shields when she first stepped up on the scene. You know what I'm saying? So her coming in here with a tough opponent like Jimenez, a lot of people was kind of unknown about Jimenez. I mean, unfamiliar with Jimenez. And just looking at her photos and everything, we was like, man, she got the size, you know. She's undefeated. She's 12-0. So we was curious to see how it all plays out. And man, it was a tough fight. Both of these women was throwing down Both of them was fighting in the pocket. I mean, it was one of those fights in the women's division that you rarely see. But once again, to the real mainstream purists and boxing fans, we like looking at this fight like some just ain't right, man. Like, just something isn't right. I mean, I'm talking about with the strength of it all that was coming from Jimenez, the visual. And then, her post-fight interview, the way it sounded, told us all something seems out of order. And sure enough, those tests came back and proved that she was on something more than confidence. So I'm glad to see Franchon get her belt back, the WBO. Hopefully in the next few days that the WBC falls suit so she can be reinstated as unified champion. And then we can move on to bigger and better things, man, and seeing her fight somebody else. That's real talk. You know what I'm saying? She deserves that. If she came in clean and she got the job done and she was in there with a dirty fighter, once again, she could have took unnecessary punishment that could have left her out of the damn ring for quite some time. But it's good that she's tougher than that. Alistair Y'all say, salute, Scotty. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for dropping through, Alex. I always support. You know that. You have plenty of time to follow women's boxing, man. Hey, some of them you know, some of them you won't. That's all I can say about that. I mean, you in the boxing game. I'm not gonna lie. Some of the female boxers you would know, and some you won't, unless you truly follow every bit of it. Ducetti, thanks, man. Salute. He said, thanks for sharing the boxing news. Yeah, man, I'm happy about that. I'm happy she got her belt back. We've been up here, kind of like, pondering the point of when the decision is going to be made. Like, the results are back already. Why haven't Franchon got her belts back? Like, what's going on? Why haven't they FedEx her belts just like the gloves? Like, put it in a FedEx and give her back her damn belts. Both of the belts should have came back expeditiously. Expeditiously, man. She should have got her belts returned. It doesn't get any more blatant than that. Like, A and B samples came back dirty. Why don't she have both belts back in tandem? Seriously. Let me read you an article. Our boxer saying the WBO has formally stripped Alejandra Jimenez for her, of her super middleweight title after failing to comply the show cause order after testing positive for banned substance. The ruling, which is handed down on Tuesday, results in the belt making its way back to Crews-Dezurn and their January 10th bout officially treated as a no decision, which is great. They go on to say this: Ms. Jimenez failed to comply to the committee's order as a per the show cause. That means committee orders as per the show cause if there's anything that they should look at outside of the test, right? Luis Batista Salas, chairman of the WBO Championship Committee, stated in an official letter issued to both boxers, and of which BoxingScene.com has obtained a copy. Notwithstanding the foregoing, Ms. Jimenez filed 2 email communications with no reliable, credible, or relevant supporting evidence in her defense, rather unfounded avertments and allegations unsupported in the record. So one thing I'm just puzzled about, I'm curious to know why it's still like this, of course. So me paying attention to detail, they say Mexico's Jimenez 13-0-1, which she's 12-1. Okay. The last fight was a no decision, so you should have her at 12-0. Yeah, I'm not being petty either. She cheated, Don't sit up here and highlight her as 13-0 and she's 12-0. She did not win in January. She claimed a 10-round split decision win over Crews-Dezurn in their title fight this past January, which aired on DAZN from San Antonio, Texas. The win netted Jimenez both the WBO and the World Boxing Council 168-pound titles, making her 2 division titles after having previously held a heavyweight title. Previously holding the heavyweight title. What I like is they go on to say the glory was short-lived as a test sample taken and collected by the officials contracted by Voluntary Anti-Dope Agency. The Voluntary Anti-Dope Agency is VADA. On January 10th, on the eve of the title fight, came back positive for banned substance, stanozol, and the news made rounds on January 24th, near 2 full weeks after the fight. So you're talking about January 24th. It's on the front door of almost 2 months, just a little bit past a month and a half. You know what I'm saying? Damn near. The development resulted in a 90-day suspension issued by Texas Department of Licensing and Regulations, TDLR, along with the WBC suspending her title reign and the WBO officially putting her on the clock. Furthermore, it says, as is the case in all drug testing, the offending party has the right to either have the B sample tested or go straight to a hearing. The latter affords the offending party a platform to provide evidence suggesting contamination or ingestion of said substance through an unintentional means. That means like the beef, the uncastrated wild boar, or the Canelo beef. You know what I'm saying? Unwilling, tainted supplements from sponsors or whatever. Her decision conflicted with the show cause order issued by the WBO, which called for Jimenez to provide proof either or contamination or ingestion through unintentional means. The latter, which doesn't unnecessarily, let me back up. Ingestion through unintentional means. The latter, which still doesn't necessarily clear an athlete. Jimenez failed to do so despite 2 separate requests for the from the WBO, nor did her B sample differentiate from the original test result. Crews-Dezurn, a longtime advocate for stringent drug testing. Let me repeat that. Crews-Dezurn, a longtime advocate for stringent drug testing, produced clean samples for every test she was required to take. Advocate for stringent drug testing, produced clean samples for every test she was required to take. That means she was clean. She was clean. She wasn't a dirty fighter. Give the champ a round of applause. Salute. Good job, man. Hey, I'm happy you came back clean. You get to keep your titles. You was in there with the dirty fighter. And most of all, you was able to get out healthy. You know what I'm saying? You was able to get out healthy and not end up in the hospital, fighting Hercules. Furthermore, it says, having exhausted all options, the WBO decided the time has come for an official ruling. Good job to the WBO for making that decision, command decision, which in the end defaulted matters back to the way they were prior to the fight night. That means they extracted the win from Jimenez's record. She's 12-0, which she should be 12-1. And then they took the loss from Crews-Dezurn's record. So her record is 6-1-2. And then also she's now the WBO champion. All right. But she really is the WBC. So we're just waiting for them to come back with their official statement and make it all right. You know what I'm saying? Make it all good. In closing, the WBO World Championship Committee hereby strips Ms. Alejandra Jimenez of her WBO Female Super Middleweight Championship title, and it reinstates WBO female participant Ms. Franchon Crews-Dezurn as the official WBO Female Super Middleweight Champion. As the official WBO Female Super Middleweight Champion. I mean, just because, on the night of question, she wasn't able to get that, and still Super Middleweight Champion, now she gets that. Justice has been served, said Oscar De La Hoya, chairman and CEO of Golden Boy, told boxing scene, learning of the ruling. This is the correct decision to make on behalf of the WBO to reinstate Franchon Crews-Dezurn as its super middleweight champion. It is always great to see justice in action, especially in this sport. Oscar. Okay. What's going on? Let me get back. DBMA, what's good? Salute, man. Okay. Salute to you. It's good. This is the first time I'm seeing you on here. So I stand corrected. And salute to you. And look forward to seeing you returning. Hopefully I pronounce your name, Ducetti, correctly. DBMA say they need to give that lady everything back that they took. I agree, man. I'm just looking at it like both belts should have been zip tied together, wrapped properly, you know what I'm saying, gift wrap, and returned at the same time, man, with a nice fat bow on it. Also with an extra stipend, because she was in there with a dirty fighter, man, and it could have caused some health problems. She up here fighting her husband, as a way of living, and she's in there with a fighter who chose to cut corners, man, and cheat in the hurt business, one of the toughest sport there is in combat. So therefore, I just look at that like I'm not gonna hold no punches when it comes to fighters being dirty. So I'm happy for her and her family. She gets that loss off her record again, and the only person to defeat is Clarissa Shields. So let's do this. Let's go. Let's see the next opponent, man, because it was an exciting fight. Even with Jimenez being dirty, man. Listen, Franchon stood in there and she boxed and banged when she should. I mean, it was a tough fight. It was a really good fight. We just couldn't understand how Jimenez was just walking through those punches like that. I'm not saying with 2 knockouts, Franchon Crews-Dezurn is a power puncher. All I'm saying is it wasn't like Jimenez was this super power puncher either. But she just showed amazing freaking strength in there. And the results came back the way they should. So that's what it is. But you're right, DBMA, they should take everything back, man. I'm just curious if they're going to take back the purses from Jimenez or not, If she even gets to, if she's able to keep the purses or whatever the incentives that she received, man, do she have to pay that back or what? Lions Hunt. Say crazy thing is about, in my opinion, Crews still won the fight. A lot of people can say Crews-Dezurn won that fight, man. Like I said, I have to give her salute, man. I have to give her respect for being in there with a tough ass fighter like that and putting on a solid performance the way she did. That just goes to show you what certain fighters would do to catch up. She probably knew deep down inside, even with a 12-0 record, she may not be on the stage of the level to go in there and defeat Dezurn. And also with this, she's coming down from heavyweight. It may, helped her in cutting weight, maintaining strength, and staying in fight camp. Because Jimenez looked powerful in there. You know what I'm saying? She looked indestructible. She looked tough. So when both of these ladies was going at it, exchanging, you was like, God damn, this fight is super middleweight. They really putting on a great show. Like they really putting down leather. They exchanging in the pocket, hard shots when she had Dezurn up against the ropes, landing those shots. I was like, damn, this is a nice one. But unfortunately for her, she wasn't as healthy as we thought she was. So shout out to the champ, man. Shout out to the champ. I wonder, did she even, I'm not sure what the details was as far as winner takes all or whatever. I mean, not winner takes all, way the purse was set up. If the winner gets a certain percentage and the loser gets a certain percentage, I'm not sure what that entailed. But if indeed the winner received a higher stipend than the loser, she's due compensation. I think when fighters test dirty, they should get a percentage. You know what I'm saying? Like, say for instance, when they miss weight, some of the time the fighter gets a percentage of the fighter's purse. If it still is active, a fight that's going to be on the card, a fighter gets a percentage of their purse handed over to the winner. Handed over to their opponent, regardless. So I'm not sure if this is going to be the same way. A percentage of a purse for testing dirty. I know it's not a rule out there that says that, more so missing weight, but both women made weight from my understanding. And I don't think it's a rule in there for them popping positive. A percentage of their purse goes over to the other fighter. I don't think so, but it should be. Real talk, it should be. You should be penalized for testing dirty. You should be penalized for cheating. DBMA say all that cross-gender in sports is not a good look. They still maintain the natural attributes as the original makeup. I'm not afraid to say it, but it's wrong. And it's actually a fake enhancement. Well, that is a touchy subject, the DBMA. You know what I'm saying? It's a touchy subject for people who look at it in a way that they're saying, well, we should treat them the same as we treat everybody else. It's not fair. It's not fair for you to be born a certain gender. I'm speaking from a man, right? If you are born a man, and just because you're saying, okay, I'm identifying as this, and you're crossing over and your body is still producing high levels of testosterone because you was born a male, but you competing in a female sport and you winning. Like I said before in my other lives, I am absolutely elated that some of these regional levels are taking action and preventing the transgender from coming over there and competing in their sport. I think it's fair. I think it's extremely, absolutely fair that these women deserve to compete with other women. And if that particular woman is dirty, then the test will come back. You know what I'm saying? Just like the whole Russian team, they came back and they end up banning them. They had so many athletes that was dirty. It's been so many in there. The other athlete too, I forgot her name. She's not dirty, but her body produces, I don't know if it's testosterone, but it produces something. She's a very powerful runner. But anyway, back to boxing. I kind of agree wholeheartedly. Not kind of, I do agree that even in boxing, you have what's his name that's going through the transition, whatever. He's up here hurting female fighters. That's because he still has that man strength. He still has it. I'm not trying to go to a boxing match and see a man in there with a woman and then it's lopsided. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even really trying to go through that. I'm not ever trying to see that. I want to see man versus man, woman versus woman. Period. That's enough for me. DBMA say that that's no difference from having steroids. From gender, not every human being is strong. Not every being that competes with gloves can go in there and fight. So I don't know, because I know damn well there's some women out there that are probably defeat some men at their weight class. I'm not saying some that are skilled and trained in boxing type. I'm talking about if you take probably the average man and put him in there with a at the same weight class or whatever. I don't know. Just because they say they're going through the transition, I don't think that every man that crosses that border will come out victorious if they're in there with a woman that's trained in the sport. That's all I'm saying. If that woman is trained in the sport, she might put the hands on a man, like, okay, I'm going to beat your ass. And she go in there and do it. But if you get somebody who's trained or whatever in sports, and usually most of the time they cannot compete in their gender, you know what I'm saying? They have to find a different way, and they take drastic measures and say that, oh, I'm transitioning over here. And then they go over here and start winning. Nah, that ain't fair, man. Just stop it. That is not fair to the women. And we don't see women trying to come over here and fight in a men's sport like that. More so, we seeing men that are incapable of fighting on the level of their gender in a professional sport or at the highest tier. They choose to digress, transform, and then step into the realm of a woman where they're going to have less strength, less aggression, and they're naturally strong and go compete. So therefore, if they're over there winning, why should they get all the credit for being this special athlete? No, you should send their ass right back over to where they came from on the male side of the house and let them get that work. You know what I'm saying? Let the man get the work. Period. Stop taking the pink slip. You know what I'm saying? Stop allowing these men to take the pink slip over there to the women's sports and say, here, I know what I look like. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going through a transition. So therefore, I'm wondering how long it's going to take for me to get a fight. How long? I'm on weight. How long? What, sir? No, don't disrespect me now. Don't disrespect me. I just told you what I'm doing. Don't disrespect me. Well, sir, from what we see, you're still a man, and we have to take you through some tests. Until you get those tests, we don't know when you're going to fight. It's a lot more that goes on with just getting the pink slip, showing up at the door of the commission and say, you know what? I'm planning on being a female fighter from now on. And one of my goals is to become world champion. That's my goal. And if you get a real one, they might say, well, if your goal was to become a world champion, why you then, stay your ass over there with the men? Why are you over here trying to beat up on women in their sport, especially a combat sport? You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad the college level, they just had that same thing happen where they won the NCAA championship. And I'm hoping they change that. Seriously, I'm just hoping they change it because it's not fair. It's not fair for the females that was complaining to say, you know what are we competing for now? Because if we are fast, competing with the top tier, top 3%, 5% of women athletes globally, now we have to worry about men that may have been on the the lower half of the 15 to 20% where their competition was, now to come over here and pretty much dominate our top 5%. So they can come over to our sport and dominate the top 5%. And we have to somehow suffer from that. You know what I'm saying? Not making it to the Olympics, may not qualifying for the nationals, or whatever the case may be. I think it's unfair. That's all. That's enough of that. I'm done talking about that, man. I can go on and on about that. That's just not my topic, man. But Alejandra Jimenez, nah, no titles for you, homegirl. Stephen Wood, what's good? Salute, man. They should have to fight with their birth gender. If you were born a man, you're gonna fight a man. You can dress and act how you want after the fight. I agree. Well, a man should take pride in winning a woman's belt. Hey, man, I agree. You know, the mindset of these individuals who choose to transform the way they think is all the way in reference to what they actually have going on. I mean, it's so much that's internal to we don't quite get it. You know what I'm saying? We don't quite understand what's beneath the layers, low self-esteem, insecurities, or whatever the case may be. So therefore, for them to come over to another gender that lacks the common strength since birth and begin to compete and say, I'm winning, they shouldn't even be recognized. Like, nobody should pay these cats attention. Track, boxing, none of that. You should pay them attention. Nah, you shouldn't pay them attention. And you know what? I know if it's in MMA, which it has, it's not going to happen in the UFC. It's not going to happen, bro. It's not going to happen in Bellator. It's only going to happen on the some other lower regional organizations that's out there. These big organizations like the Professional Fight League, Bellator, UFC, all those, they're not going to have those individuals competing on that level. That's transition. It's no way. And I don't want to say never, but I'm saying right now, I don't see it happening. DBMA say, LOL, not to put in the spotlight. It's just weird. It is, man. It is weird. It's all the way weird. I just like to see the women compete against the women, men compete against the men. You know, just like Steven said, you know, if you was born one, compete against one. Period. If that's what you was born, compete. If you're not as strong as you would like to be, keep on training till you get to that point. If it's not meant to be for you to be on the top tier of elite athletes, then guess what? Find another job. Uber is always hiring. Real talk. Uber is always hiring. It's always space availability at Uber. Uber and mobility as far as transporting, and then you have Uber Eats. You know, you have so much that's going on right now with Uber. That gives you a backup plan if you're unable to compete from a man to a woman. Yeah, do that. Real talk. Do that. Steven says it's unsafe. I agree. It is unsafe. You know, like I said earlier, I'm glad Franchon Crews-Dezurn was able to come out of this healthy, and she wasn't laying up in the hospital. You know, even though Jimenez, from what we understand, is a female, right? But I'm just expressing that she was a dirty fighter, and many times it can result in the fighter taking unnecessary damage. You know what I'm saying? From a person who has extra strength. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm trying to make a point. The punishment, the internal damage, it could have struck anything, you know, the punches she was taking. It could have did anything. It could have laid her up in the hospital. And then she's out of a sport that she makes a living doing. And she was the unified champion. So it was a lot to lose for Franchon. But, you know, it's good that the Alpha Bravo came back, Delta. You know what I'm saying? The Alpha Bravo sample came back, Delta. And the rest of it is what it is. Now we wait on the WBC. Oh, I wanted to talk about the scores too. The scores was a split. I believe it was like 97-93. I believe for one judge for Franchon and one for Alejandra Jimenez, and then 98-92 for Jimenez. I think those are scores. But either way it goes, she's no longer champion. Stop cheating. Stop cheating, shawty. Let me Go to another one. And also in that fight, let me see what this, see if they're not reciprocating the same information. I like what they said right here. Boxing Insider. They said Crews-Dezurn may have only 2 knockouts on her resume, but she's always been known as a big puncher. The former champ landed big shots after big shots. Forget about landing those punches on the woman. You could argue that Crews-Dezurn would have put down numerous of men with those same blows. Jimenez, on the other hand, just walked right through them. Right through them. Without breaking a sweat. Real talk, true. After the judges scored the fight, in the fight in favor of Jimenez, it seemed like a fair decision. It was a close fight, but Jimenez seemed to do just enough to win. Shortly after the win, Crews-Dezurn then flat out called Jimenez a drug cheat, but check it. She did have her eyebrows raised. We had the eyebrows raised. And we had our own suspicion. Shortly after the win, she had her eyebrows raised, which she should have. And then I like what Crews-Dezurn did say. She kept it a little bit modest, not overly freaking blatant. It was different, said Dezurn. I fought around the world. Remember, I used to fight as a light heavyweight as well. I've sparred men, but it was different. It was different. Dezurn, she's telling you the punches was different. Something was different. That's all I can say. I hit like a heavyweight. I've done testing with USA Boxing, and I hit as hard as a man, but some of the punches she was taking wasn't normal. The normality was gone. Dezurn said it wasn't the same. It was different. Since both fighters fought on Nevada drug testing, they had their post-fight drug test check. When Jimenez had her results reviewed, it revealed anything but normal. Anything but normal. A banned substance was found in her A sample, which now leaves everything up in the air, to include a finding of her B sample. Franchon's promoter said, "We are incredibly disappointed for her as she worked incredibly hard to defend her title," said Crews-Dezurn promoter De La Hoya. "However, our job is to ensure the safety of our fighters both inside and out the ring. Thus, we have always insisted and supported testing through the Voluntary Anti-Dope Association, VADA. Jimenez fight against Franchon Crews-Dezurn is no exception. Now our job is to find justice for Franchon by working closely with the WBC and the WBO in order to reinstate her as unified world champion." Sir Ken, salute, man. Well, it's good. Everybody who's dropping through. DBMA said they're pushing forward on Tyson, and they also trying to get a gag order in place. You talking about UCAT? UCAT. I truly want to give them the benefit of honesty. You know what I'm saying? Integrity. I really want to hold them to a standard that they would do what's right. It's hard due to their history and their track record to a point. So for them to saying they're opening, language sounds good, but when it comes down to them putting action together, thorough action, that's what kind of concerns me. I understand what they're talking about. The language in the media is all good. We're going to open up and invest it. It sounds good. It sounds powerful because new media is out here talking about it, keeping it in the airwaves, keeping it on the surface, keeping it buoyed every freaking day. And there's other people that's tuned in to these boxing segues and they're paying attention. You know what I'm saying? So all these videos is out, all the footage that's the steel frames and everything. Seeing Tyson Fury walking out to the ring and put his hand up, and the shots that was taken from his left glove being a lot more loose than his right glove. You know what I'm saying? It's there. You know what I'm saying? His left glove is not as tight as his right glove. So therefore, you have to look in to the suspicion aspect of it. Why isn't both gloves the same with the tape around it? Why isn't it that way? He just left the commission, right? That's all I'm saying. So we'll see what the UK has in place. DBMA say salute, Sir Ken. Salute. They really have to take that to the highest, man, and do and give that man justice. They really do, man. They have to. They have to. I'm not going to be extremely disappointed. No expectations, no disappointment. I'm not expecting too much out of this. Real talk. No expectations, no disappointment. I'm not expecting too much from this, in this particular scenario, because it's so much on the line. That is the monetary gain that's going to come from the trilogy. Now, they may shock us all and conduct a thorough investigation and say, well, from what we reviewed and all the evidence, we do see there may have been. If they provide language like that and they hold Tyson Fury accountable, then salute to him. I'm nodding to him, say, okay, cool, thank you. But being that this trilogy holds a lot of money for both fighters, it is so important to the sport of boxing. This trilogy between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury is extremely important. And a big part of me, I want to see, Tuscaloosa's own head back to the ring and go in there and get his WBC title back. I would rather him go back and fight Tyson Fury, because the lens of scrutiny that's going to be placed on Tyson Fury, if he's stepping back in there in July, it's going to be tremendous. It's going to be astounding. The amount of scrutiny that's going to be placed on his gloves, his camp, his team. This time in the dressing room, the camera's not going to be unplugged. They're going to make sure they have a visual on him from the time he leaves his dressing room all the way to the freaking ring. During the fight, all that. I'm pretty sure Team Deontay Wilder is going to pay more close attention and vigilant too. You know what I'm saying? They're going to pay attention. As smooth as the gypsies are, he might come in there with a freaking boot modification. You know what I'm saying? Somehow Deontay Wilder freaking calf start bleeding during the fight. They say, God damn, how's his calf bleeding? You know what? What the heck is that? I'm telling you, man. Tyson Fury go from the glove to the boots. Seriously. But real talk, I consider Wilder a warrior, just like he said. He's a king of the vision. He's a king at heart. He feels walking back into the battlefield to go in there and defeat the person that he now understands after seeing all the footage. He now understands that he must avenge. He must go in there for retribution. And that's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. We want to see a good, solid trilogy. And we want to see who's the best heavyweight in the game. We really want to see that. We want to see, outside of all the evidence that's been accumulated, collected, processed, edited, and reproduced out here in the new media, we want to see, can Tyson Fury return for the trilogy, Deontay Wilder return, and let's see a hell of a freaking trilogy in the heavyweight division. And the results should play themselves out. You know what I'm saying? It should be a damn good fight. It should be and new. Deontay Wilder just can't go from being the hardest puncher. Yeah, he has some areas to work on. That's up to him and his team. That's not up to me to keep talking about. That's up to him and his team. So when they step back in through the ropes, over the ropes rather, to get that work in, I'm sure they'll make changes. I'm pretty sure they'll be good. DBMS say, why is one of Mayweather's promoter fighters, Ishe Smith, talking up on Tyson's behalf? It's crazy with all that going on. And why add even more fuel to the fire towards Mayweather's camp at this time? You know, DBMA, to be honest, man, you know, I was on live, right? I wasn't on live. I was just having a conversation with somebody, you know, no names mentioned. And I'm trying to explain to them that Mayweather is an opportunist like that. For him to come out when Deontay Wilder lost, I felt it was just an opportune time for his name to be in the limelight. And man, and how people just so easy to gravitate just because it's Mayweather, just because of his record. And I'm telling them, Mayweather don't mean any good by this. And what can he teach a fighter like Deontay Wilder who has a style that's not reciprocated across the board? You cannot sit up here and say, I can teach you to do what I do because I'm Floyd Mayweather. I don't think he has a history of that. So they you know, these individuals sitting up here trying to convince me of such, I'm just saying to myself, no, there's no way you can convince me that Floyd Mayweather, of all people, can teach Deontay Wilder to go back in there with Anthony Joshua. I mean, not Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. Plus, the rapport between these two, it hasn't been solid. I mean, how are you going to go in there with the person you potentially don't trust, you don't communicate with on a daily basis? And how is he going to provide you the sound mind to feel comfortable with going into training camp in one of the biggest fights of your boxing career to get your title back? How are you going to feel comfortable knowing that he's in your best interest? That's what I'm saying. You have to go into this change knowing that person has your best interest. I don't think Floyd has Deontay Wilder's best interest. So right now, you have Ishe Smith, you have all these other people creating videos, right? Talking about, there's no way you can throw a hook with your hand in the glove like that. Why not? Why can't you throw a hook? Steve Cunningham, you know, salute to the OG, right? You can't sit up here and negate the fact of a professional fighter that has really nothing to gain from it. He put out a video basically going through the instructional process of wearing the glove full fitted properly, throwing a hook, and then lowering his hand into the area where we have seen Tyson Fury, and then still throwing a hook. And on the contrary of those who were speaking from the Mayweather camp saying, oh, it hurts. Oh, I will hurt my hand. Well, check this out. It was plenty of times we've seen Deontay Wilder throw power shots with the palm to his opponents. We're not sure if it hurt, but it sure enough did a lot of damage, right? So for those individuals to be coming up here, not everybody in Mayweather's camp, not everybody, but I'm just saying those specific people, I don't think they was being entirely genuine. And then for Ishe Smith to talk up on Tyson Fury, look, come on, don't be disappointed. That's what they do. A lot of these people are just joining themselves in the fray because they don't want to support Deontay Wilder. Some people are followers Some people are leaders. Period. The followers receive orders from the leaders. Once these followers get used and acclimated to receiving orders, they do it naturally. They do it without hesitation. And for some of these people to be speaking up against Deontay Wilder the way they are, it's only because they hate us. They don't like him. They always despise his skill set. They always talked about his fragmented fundamentals. They really don't want to show the man support. They can talk all they want, seriously. But I'm just saying, like, I knew from the start Mayweather wasn't in the best interest of Deontay Wilder. I mean, come on, man. Like, come on, man. No, it doesn't take a master's degree to figure that out. Hey, shout out to Fernando Bunch, man, out of Augusta, man. Salute to you. Fernando said, I just don't know how you can do that with wraps and the gloves tied and taped around the wrist. You know, when you come to a fighter that has bare knuckle experience, it's many things that can be inserted into that. We don't know how the hands was wrapped. If they was wrapped with a certain amount of gauze or whatever, you know, we don't know if the certain amount of gauze was in place on Tyson Fury's hand around the wrist or around the knuckle set. And then it's pictures out there, still pictures, where his left glove is a lot loose than his right glove. So therefore, is he able to slide his hand down there and adjust it with the tape? We saw it in the freaking first fight with Deontay Wilder, and we saw the same flicking of the wrist, throwing the hook, and the glove waving back in the wind in the second fight. I just think it's so many ways to manipulate. If you look at Trinidad and Margarito, the commission was back there when they was cheating. You know what I'm saying? When we're talking about hard substance in the wraps, the commission was back there. The commission wasn't the ones who caught it. It was the trainer Nassim Richardson. The commission was standing right there and didn't catch them cheating. Trinidad and Margarita, they didn't catch them cheating. They did not catch them cheating. When Louis Resto went out there and ended the life of Billy Collins, right? What was commission? Was commission there to check the gloves that had freaking padding removed from the knuckle set and a hole in the palm? The commission had to be there. They had to be there. And I'm thinking the commission and whoever else was in the area and Tyson Fury put on his gloves a certain way that he's did it before. That wasn't the first time that they went through the whole, you know, routine of putting on his left glove different than his right glove. So all the video evidence is out there. I seriously think the man cut corners in the first fight and the second fight. I think he cheated. But I appreciate your comment though, bro. Now it's up to them on what's going to happen. And UCAD is only investigating the uncastrated wild boar. They're not investigating the glove situation. And to be honest with you, nothing, in my opinion, will come from the glove situation. Even though I was hoping, you know, I said I hope they collect the evidence or whatever. It's not going to happen. But what UCAD is investigating is Mr. Carefoot. You know what I'm saying? The UCAD is investigating if by chance they basically influenced this guy to commit perjury and lie to say he fed them uncastrated wild boar that allowed them to pop on the test. That's the question at hand. That's documentations, because Tyson Fury, him testing positive and then getting someone to lie for him, then that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother situation. You know, Tyson Fury could be banned from the sport for like 8 years, right? So that's a whole nother layer. And then on top of that, it all blends in with his history. His history is he have means of cheating. We seen it in the Christian Hammer fight. How your gloves is missing the loop that keeps your thumb in that area. How's that missing? Why is it directed at Tyson and no one else is going through this? There's a reason why it's like that, because they've been doing it before. They've been doing it before. He popped, you know, in the next fight with Vladimir Klitschko. And then he goes up to a point and he has a glove that looked different while he's fighting Deontay Wilder. Video don't lie. And we're saying, damn, is this an unidentified glove we're looking at? Like, how's it taking flight like that? How's that glove going back when he's throwing the hook? How's it swinging back like a one of them old screen doors I grew up? You know, the one that squeak. You go outside and that thing just squeaks every time. It's all flimsy. How's this glove doing that? How's this glove reciprocating that in the rematch February 22nd? How is that possible? So the good thing about it is we have something that's being investigated. I'm not saying it's going to be thorough, but if UCAD indeed is going to investigate the perjury claim that they supposed to have paid this man 25,000 pounds, they reneged or whatever the case, and also they lied, perjured themselves. Why would this guy come out from 2015 to 2020? All of a sudden, he brings this out to the open and say, yeah, this is what happened. They wanted me to lie. I never raised a wild boar and I never killed a wild boar. So therefore, I'm telling you, and he claims he has paperwork. You know what I'm saying? He claims he has paperwork. So if anybody allegedly from Team Fury was able to somehow participate in this, it should come to the light. Or, you know, you're going to have this guy disappear. I'm not saying disappear and harm coming to him. I'm saying disappear from his name being unimportant. You know, they're going to wait till it fade out. The bad thing about it is March right now. You have April, May, and June. Those 3 months leading up to July, there should be something. If we don't hear anything back about Mr. Carefoot before this trilogy, it doesn't matter anymore. Seriously, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Tyson, look, if Tyson Fury goes in this trilogy with Deontay Wilder and nothing has came back, final, official, from this UCAD investigation, it doesn't matter. Because you know what? Tyson can very well go into this fight and retire. He can retire. He can very well go in there and get another paycheck. The UCAD situation doesn't affect him going into the ring, earning some money for a trilogy with Deontay Wilder, period. This incident was way back when. I'm not sure what action they would take, but if you're talking about 2015 to now, and they come up and find there is substantial evidence to take action, then guess what? We may see him suspended. And if that's the case, my question is, will it be before the trilogy or after the trilogy? If I was to assume with all the money that's immersed, that's encompassed in making this next fight, all the promotion and everything else, I'm pretty sure the people that's around boxing will make sure this fight takes place in July. That's all I'm saying. DBMA said it's the British location UCAD that's going after him. If I misspoke on that, I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying, UCAD. But the only thing I may have misquoted earlier was the glove situation. UCAD is not investigating him for the glove situation. I'm not sure. You know, when I'm researching boxing, sometimes you get on here and you might misquote, but the UCAD is not investigating him, just to be clear, for the glove situation. It's for the uncastrated wild boar that may, in their opinion, be the reason why allegedly Team Fury said that it contributed to him popping positive on the test back then. If by chance they did lie, then it's going to be a hefty penalty. And that's what's going on right now. DBMA say it's not like the old guy needs the money, I think. The guilt and the point they never followed through with paying him. People forget most UK hates Tyson, but they hide that. No, not for the glove. Yeah, I don't think I never said for the glove. I know UCAD. I mean, why would UCAD investigate him for the glove situation? Both of the fights was in the U.S. But, you know, sometimes you cross thread talking points, you know, upon delivery, but it's all good. But speaking of what your last comment was, is that about the money. I really don't care if Tyson Fury needs the money or not. All I'm saying is justice where it belongs. If Tyson Fury was indeed manipulating, and there's a lot of ways to make this happen, if indeed he manipulated the left hand, and then, you know, the video of Ben Davison telling him to just stay with the left hand, and hearing Davison say, well, I was telling him to stick to the jab. That's what's working. In the first fight? You know what I'm saying? In the first fight, you was telling him that? In the first fight, you was telling him to use the left hand, right? But how effective was the left hand, though, in the first fight? Like, how effective was it? You tell me, those people that watched the fight, tell me how effective it was. I was following up what you were saying. I don't know what is this delayed. I guess on my end. Oh, okay. Hold on for a second. For those of you that are streaming on YouTube, they're seeing that. Cool. For those of you that cut that off before that goes on there. But we'll see what happened, man. I know a lot of people feeling some type of way about, you know, accusing Tyson Fury allegedly and being the accusations that have been vented against him. But it's not us. It's not the people that's sitting up here fabricating stuff like that. It's the video. If someone can just make a clip or video of Tyson Fury's fight from 2015 to now and put a side-by-side comparison of his gloves doing the exact same thing, you know what I'm saying? If Muhammad Ali is going to be the test dummy for this, I want to see Tyson Fury in more than one fight outside of him facing Deontay Wilder. I want to see him punching the way he's punching, throwing the hook like that, and seeing his glove. If I can't get a freaking slide, if I can't get one steel frame slide of Tyson Fury glove doing this with all the other 4 fighters that he faced when this came to light, we're talking about upon his return, not the Christian Hammer fight, not the Vladimir Klitschko fight. The reason why, because the Klitschko fight was 2015. And I looked at that fight several times just to see if I can just take one freaking clip and export it. And there's no way that I can get it. So a lot of people are going to say, well, he had different trainers. Okay. So he had different trainers upon his return, right? So just say, for instance, he go over here, he fight the freaking Safari and Pianetta. Had the same trainers leading up to that first fight with Deontay Wilder, right? So we seen this glove incident in his first fight with Deontay Wilder with the same trainers that trained him from Pianetta and Safari, right? Should be. So after that Tyson Fury fight, won with Deontay Wilder. What happened? Not until his training commenced to step back in there for a rematch did he insert Sugar Hill Stewart. Even though he never quite released Ben Davison, from what I heard, Ben Davison just didn't want to work in tandem with Sugar Hill Stewart. That doesn't mean Ben Davison wasn't in the area. He probably still was there. You know what I'm saying? He probably was still around the area. I don't know. But we do know this, that Tyson didn't want to take the immediate rematch. He had ample amount of time to get the plan down. He went up there and faced two other fighters. All this knockout power, all this freaking, he's on a whole nother level just because he gained for 259 to 273. He's supposed to be this stringent freaking power hitter now. He's supposed to be this guy who's just knocking people out. There's a reason why Deontay Wilder was saying he got pillow hands. Who was he knocking out? Did he knock out Klitschko? So you're trying to tell me him coming back, losing all that weight, being banned for 2 years, right? Coming back, losing all that weight. He developed this astronomical strength, and he's going to come back in here. And just because he was able to fight an undersized fighter in the first two fights, like really no competition, go in there and get cut by Otto Wallen. I mean, did he stop Otto Wallen? Did he stop Pianetta? I mean, you tell me. So how is he going to go in there and you can say he fought 100% healthy Deontay Wilder if Deontay Wilder looked different? If people are saying the man looked different and he didn't look the same, then who made who look good? Who made who look the best? Because Bob Arum said, what I showed earlier today, Bob Arum made this mention about Anthony Joshua facing Andy Ruiz. He said he had Andy Ruiz forever and a day, and he really wasn't, being that outstanding of a fighter. And he was facing like C-level fighters. Bob Arum was kind of making mention like he wasn't performing all that well, you know what I'm saying? So we all know he lost to Joseph Parker. Some people thought he won, some people didn't, but he didn't drop Joseph Parker. So Bob Arum said he goes in there and fight Anthony Joshua. And what does that tell you? How bad of a fighter Anthony Joshua is. Andy Ruiz is a last-minute replacement, goes in there, didn't have much time to prep for Anthony Joshua, and he drops him. And then he said, in quote, in the rematch, Anthony Joshua ran like a pussy. That's what Bob Arum said. So if y'all upset with somebody, go be upset with Bob Arum. He called it right the way it's supposed to be called. Anthony Joshua looked as good as Andy Ruiz allowed him to look. Andy Ruiz came in there overweight, deconditioned, and he allowed Anthony Joshua to look good at Saudi Arabia in the rematch. He got his titles back and a nice little paycheck. Chris Ray, what's good, man? It seemed like to me Nevada or the WBC would be the ones taking action about the glove. The INSAC is not going to take action on the glove. They're not. Because look, in order for you to take action on a glove incident, it has to be clear and concise foul. Just because we up here talking about it, they will have to take action off evidence since the fight is over. Like it's hard to sit up here and look at a post-fight and review video and say, yeah, I don't know. It looked like his hand was down in the wrist area. We don't know. So if it's not just like an NFL replay, like if they don't have clear, irrefutable evidence, like it's clear and concise down there, they're not going to sit up here and overturn anything. They're not going to say, well, we're going to give the belt back to Deontay Wilder because we can clearly see Tyson Fury's hands was down in the glove. And then you're going to have the people that's saying, well, maybe his hand just slid down in the glove. It was a rough fight. It's many scenarios that can be attached to that they can provide that say, well, we just don't know the transition of the glove. Is there enough evidence to overturn? So I'm not putting too much effort in INSAC overturning anything. But what can happen is the media can put out the evidence from the video that's out there of Tyson Fury gloves being the way they are. I mean, it's out there, y'all. Chris Ray say, hit the like. Thanks, World Combat Sports, for the take. Your foot up for gas. Blessings, I'm out. Thanks for dropping in, man. Smoke Tyson. Don Dollar, what's good, man? Salute to you. Thanks for dropping in, everybody. Yeah, but I didn't want to really make this a Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder day. I am moving on periodically, to different subjects. I'm definitely not going to talk about this every day. But since it was brought up, UCAD is investigating the situation for potential perjury, alleged perjury, you know what I'm saying, for uncastrated wild boar. INSAC, Nevada State Athletic Commission, yeah, of course it's up to them if they choose to dive into investigating the glove situation. But unless it's some wraps, some hand wraps like Margarito or something, unless it's something to the fact that provides obvious evidence, nothing's going to happen. But that doesn't mean we can't come up here and talk about what we see on the video. And you know what's wild is now we live in an era where there's so many apps and everything to manipulate what you're actually looking at. So what may have seemed obvious earlier before all this technology arrived, people are now looking at it like, that's not true. They don't even know what the hell they're looking at. Some of them. They'll look at something that's clearly abnormal. They'll say, that's not his knuckle of the thumb. It's plenty of people. Maybe he got bit by a mosquito, man. It's infected. It's gangrene. You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't look abnormal to me. So you can look at every other boxing match of Tyson Fury and his gloves in the wrist area look good, right? They look smooth on the wrist area. You look at your wrist area, it's no knots that stands out like the damn thumb knuckle, right? And then you compare these videos on the fight that he was in there with Deontay Wilder, and people's like, that's Photoshop? Is that the actual clip? Is that the actual clip for the video? That seems like someone put that on Photoshop. They're unwilling to commit and say, well, it does look abnormal. I'm talking about some people have, but a lot of people, they just unwilling to commit of what they're seeing in front of them. They just want to say, well, he beat Wilder. The point is, it's not the fact that he didn't beat Wilder. The fact is, if indeed he did it fairly and by the book, that's what we're talking about. We don't need permission, man. So many friendships are changing over this. It's just Look, it's boxing talk. It's analytics. Friendship shouldn't change over conversation over a fighter that isn't contributing any type of revenue to either one of us. Friendships shouldn't change, man. Everything should be cool. You should take it with a grain of freaking salt. People getting mad. People unfriending you. They pissed off, they wake up in the morning, God damn it. Let me log on to YouTube. See if World Combat Sports and all those other people are just talking about this Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. I'm so sick of this mess. They should put them on freaking suspension. Tyson Fury is our champion. No, the only thing that we doing, man, is just providing some insight. I'm a different layer for people to view it. Like I said before, if INSAC doesn't take any action, I can truly understand why. Because it's not clear, concise. It's post-fight, and he didn't get caught doing the fight. But long and behold, you have Mr. Carefoot that have now came out in the open. And he's made his point recognizable that there may indeed have been some buffoonery back then with allegedly Fury in his camp suggesting that he lied for them and say the man served uncastrated wild boar. So that's what UCAD is going to investigate. So we should stand by, people. That's all we need to do is just stand by, keep our ears tuned in, to new media, World Combat Sports, and all the other ones that's out here driving the boxing and combat sports. And we should see. Moving on from that narrative, like I mentioned earlier, the UFC has canceled 3 events, but they hasn't canceled the Khabib and Tony Ferguson. So that's hopefully if this has lifted. Also, I want to talk a little bit off topic. A lot of people are talking about this stimulus payment of $1,000 that may indeed be paid out to the residents during this COVID-19. I think it's great. And also, I believe that a lot of people are going to commit to voting for the president again on re-election, all because he's giving out a stimulus check. I'm just keeping it as real as I possibly can. Some people say, did you see what he was able to do during COVID-19? Did you? What president would you not re-elect in a time of need where we're not able to go to work, our kids are out of school, eating the place up, we really don't have the money, and he made it a point to say this money would get to them ASAP. So check this out. If money does start to be paid out and people receive these checks, $1,000, in my heart of hearts, I hope it's true. I hope it happens, because I know it's families out there, and this is all joking aside, I know it's families out there that need this. They need that stimulus check. They need them finances. They need to feed their family. And really $1,000, according to how many kids you got, it's gonna do. It's better than nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's better than nothing, but it's gonna be out pretty fast. If you're talking about bills that have to be paid, freaking food that has to be supplied for the house, it's gonna run out pretty damn quick. But the thought of him doing that, cool. But I know it's a lot of people that's gonna be up here like, oh, definitely he got my vote. It definitely got my vote. But more so, we really want to see what is happening with this COVID-19. Can it be constrained? Is there a how you put it, an emergency action plan that's going to be productive enough to restrict this from spreading even more? I just heard that it's 3 other NBA players that's affected. It's like this COVID-19 is state to state right now. It's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big deal, y'all. But it's a lot of people that's surviving it. It's a lot of people that's getting treatment for it. So it is curable. It allows you to be able to get through it. One thing people should understand about any type of virus is that mucus, whenever it plays a role in sickness, mucus is not a digestible liquid, and it prevents your immune system from creating those blood cells to basically fight off. So that's why you need that medicine. Mucus is a killer. You know what I'm saying? It is a killer. Believe that. It's a killer. So I hope the people are able to get that stimulus check. Real talk. It's just bad for the kids to be out of school. More money has to go into the grocery stores, which are empty. I mean, it's like freaking pandemonium out there in some of these, especially Walmart. Like all the stores, the shelves are like freaking ripped apart. Like, man, all the freaking toilet paper. What is up with this freaking toilet paper epidemic? Like, real talk. if you really want to look at how the country people live, man, I'm gonna be real. Like, they ain't stacking up on country. They ain't stacking up on freaking Charmin. If they really had to run out, man, those people know how to create a way to wipe their behind. Real talk. They're not running trying to get bulk loads of toilet paper. What is that for exactly? Like, what's the toilet paper for? What is that? Why the effort for toilet paper like that? You're gonna sear it? You're gonna throw it on the grill? What does it do? Is it something that can turn food into turn the paper into some food or nutrients? I'm not getting why people run in there for toilet paper. Because if there's no food on the shelf, you're gonna run out of food. You know what I'm saying? You eat more times than you take a crap every day. Seriously, you eat more than what you go in the bathroom and do. So going in there with toilet paper, ripping it off the shelves, fighting one another, it's a weird situation. To walk up in Walmart and see the looks on people's face. They pushing carts, cussing and shit like, why the hell they haven't restocked the shelves for toilet paper? What's going on with this? If you think you're gonna put toilet paper around your face and hold your nose, I don't know. I don't know, man. So I still want to give a shout out to Roger Mayweather. He passed, 58 years old, Black Mamba. One of the pioneers, if we could say this, hashtag, you don't know shit about boxing. He was one of the ones, man. 2 division champion. Shout out to the OG, man. You gone and, you be missed. Roger Mayweather, he was a character, man, to hear him talk on the mic. But more so, when Floyd Mayweather was training, man, we love to see him on the mitts with his uncle. We enjoy seeing him on the mitts with his uncle. Real talk. We enjoyed that shit. And, doing my due diligence with media before I jump up out of here, as we all knew, off from the Sergey Derevyanchenko and Triple G fight, where I feel that Sergey Derevyanchenko was robbed, right? IBF and IBO champion Gennady Golovkin in the middleweight division has signed to fight Canelo Alvarez. We saw this coming. We saw this coming. I'm just glad that it's being put out there now instead of going into a fight like Canelo did with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And we already knew that Triple G fight was signed. So we knew who was going to win. Canelo went in there and beat Chavez Jr. for 12 rounds. And then immediately after that, Gennady stepped through the ropes and they announced they fight, the first one. And that's what it was. So now a trilogy is in place. A trilogy is in place for Gennady Golovkin. So all I want to do right quick, is certain aspects that I would just want to touch bases with Gennady Golovkin. Those fans that may be tuned in to World Combat Sports. The man's 41-1 with 35 knockouts, right? What stands out, though, he's 37 years old. 37 years old, y'all. Just in May, he fought Sergey Derevyanchenko to a unanimous decision. The fact that he's 37 years old, and then the fight is coming around against Canelo Alvarez, who has moved up to 168, 175, and did very well, stopping both of his opponents, Rocky Fielding and Sergey Kovalev. So for him to come back down to 160 and fight Triple G at 37 years old. Where's the thrill? What are we looking for in this particular bout? Because we've seen them fight twice already. So what are we to expect this time around? That's all. I mean, what do we want? I mean, what is there to admire in this next fight? Don Dollar say, RIP Roger Black Mamba. They were the best on the mitts I ever seen a work of art. It was, man. You know, when Floyd Mayweather was getting ready for a fight, you know, people wanted to see him and Roger on the mitts. Even though a lot of people say it didn't matter, it didn't contribute to the boxing skills or whatever. I get what they're saying, but for coordination, reaction, just rhythm, it worked for them. You know, that's all you have to say. It worked for them. It absolutely worked for them. And we enjoy seeing them get together and do the mitt drills. Seriously. We enjoyed it. He would be missed, man. From what my understanding was, he was going through damage that he suffered in the ring, you know, from what Floyd Mayweather said. And it happens. It's a bad state. It's the dark side of boxing. And the good thing about Floyd Mayweather, the good thing about Roger Mayweather, he did have, you know, his nephew that has money and there to take care of him, and make sure he was in good hands. Not everybody said. Just imagine if Roger Mayweather didn't have that support around him. Would he be on the street? You know what I'm saying? Would he be homeless somewhere and no one knew where the hell he is and he just died off? And people say, damn, that was Roger Mayweather, man. Like, they found him on the alley somewhere dead. It's some boxers do not have that support system. It's just facts of boxing, man. You go in here, you take all the freaking punishment, and your career end the way it is, and you end up having to be on the street or live in an apartment, and you live in paycheck to paycheck. It's a bad life, and you're not healthy enough to work. It's a tough sport, man. That's why I don't understand why, you know, so many people quick to call people bums. You know what I'm saying? But people, it's 11. If there was more topics to talk about that I choose to talk about, cool. But, you know, the kids are out of school. Hopefully everybody is doing well, you know, with all the restrictions that's going on and everything with this COVID-19. Really, genuine. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're not out there struggling to understand what it's going to come to, man. I hope everybody is not facing any type of reality where harm is brought upon you and your family during this crisis, because it will come to that. You will have people resulting to absolute last resorts to feed their family. If that requires robbing someone, they will rob someone. I just hope it doesn't come to that. If money's supposed to be distributed, I think it's going to help out society as a whole. Really, I think it's going to bring some temporary happiness to these people. So a lot of them that's on the edge struggling, they don't go out here in the streets and mess up. So as I always say, you know, hit the bell icon, people. You know, share the content. I'm definitely going to come on here tomorrow with something different. You know what I'm saying? It won't be, you know, a Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. It's going to be something different. I don't know what the hell it's going to be. I'm constantly reading, but it's just takes me back to where I grew up. It wasn't all this freaking TV shows that was on. It wasn't a whole lot of freaking social media and nothing. It wasn't a lot that you can just deal with by just flipping the remote control and tuning in. It just wasn't there. You know, you had mostly cartoons, soap operas. You know, General Hospital, man, you can look at that shit like, okay, I'm really into this. But now you have so many collateral channels for your cable company. It's just amazing. so much to look at on social media. And times like this, where you take away basketball, football, I mean, you take away everything, boxing, everything that we are tuned. You take that away, we have to communicate with one another. If we're not communicating with one another, that means the people that's not on here as usual, they have other things to attend to in the crisis. Everybody can't sit up here and just chill and be on social media. They have to worry about making a living for themselves. So like I said, I hope everybody's doing great, man. I hope this doesn't, hit home in the worst way for people, that they suffer some type of death in the family or anything like that from this COVID-19. None of that. But follow me on all social media, man. You know what it is. Subscribe to the channel. I definitely need to get the subscribers up this year. I look forward to going to another big fight card, but as of now, it looks like a lot of fight cards are canceled. Turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports.